So guys, I already talked with you about cutting, and I told some limitations, and I told you have to put a bleeding area when you do your design, and that is one type of cutting. Using a cutting machine, you have to cut, but there are some other methods also using to cut printed materials. One method is die cutting. That's the method I am going to talk about you. In die cutting, now I'll show you. This is one of dies which I have used for, I think this is a lunch box and part of lunch box, and this is an envelope, little bit bigger envelope, and in these dies you will see there are cutting areas. These are cutting areas and these are folding areas. So what they will do is they will put a paper, the printed paper on this die and press. And once you press it, these areas will get cut, these areas will be folded. So you know now in a box there are some areas which you have to fold and there are areas you have to cut, not only in box, anywhere. So when you, as a designer, before you start your planning, you have to ask from your customer how we are going to cut it, right? Why? So if you are using for die cutting, there are two types of machines. So first machine is plating machine. We used to call plating machine. It is something due to this curfew I can't show you a machine, but I'll definitely show you at least an image. Plating machine is something like it is in one plate, the die is fixed in one plate. The other plate, they are feeding the document into other plate and it gets pressed like this. So once it pressed, the cutting areas will cut and folding areas will be folded. So that the other plate, what I told you, you have to feed the document into that plate. There are marks, but the feeding part they used to do it manually. So when you feed a document into manually, then that part is always working like this. So while working, they have to insert the document into the printed material into that plate. So when you insert it, definitely there may be small ups and downs, there may be small differences. So if the customer is using a plating machine, definitely you have to keep more bleeding. What is the bleeding? Generally even up to 5 millimeters you can keep, especially for these type of plating machines. Up to 5 millimeter you can keep, then there won't be any problem in cutting, because otherwise it will go little up and down and you will get white areas after you cut your document or whatever. But the second type of die cutting machines is cylinder die cutting machines. So those are little advanced, but there won't be ups and downs like plated machines. But there are things you have to learn in cylinder machines also. What is a cylinder machine? It's basically similar to a Cod or Heidelberg printing machine. I think you have seen. I'll show you in future. I'll show you. It's like a printing machine. In that machine, the die is fixed in one plate, and the die is coming front and back. So when it comes to front, there's a cylinder. In that cylinder, documents, whatever the document you put is coming with the cylinder, and it punch with this, press with this, and it get cut. That is the normal method. So because I told you it's like a printing machine, the document feeding part also similar to printing machine, then there won't be ups and downs much, because you can fix it using the pin we used to call side lace, and front lace also there. Then you can use both front lace and side lace and keep it in one place. But better if you can keep at least 3 millimeter bleeding area. But the most important thing what you have to think, what you have to keep it in your mind is, if you are using a cylinder machine, I told you documents goes in a cylinder, and document is fixed to that cylinder with some grippers. So those grippers will take a small space in your document to grip like this. generally it's like half inch. So definitely you have to keep half inch from one side as the gripper margin. Generally I think for any offset work you have to keep gripper margin, but even in this one gripper margin definitely you have to keep in one side. Otherwise when the documents goes with the gripper, grippers will again touch with the blade like this, and blade will get damaged, and gripper also sometimes get damaged. So what I have to tell you is, if your customer is using a plated machine, otherwise plating machine, you have to keep more margin or more bleeding area. If the customer is using cylinder die cutting machine, you have to keep gripper margin. That's all I have to mention.